Some families are big, some families are small, some families are short, some families are tall. Some families live close, some live far away, but they love each other in their own special way. Oh, guys, I know you're thinking about your family this time of year. Most of us want to be near and with our family and our friends. But you know what? We're going to do the next best thing. We're going to read some books about families. One of them is my favorite, The Relatives Came. And I'm not going to read that book to you personally because I have invited a special friend, Miss Linda, to do some reading for us. So I would like for you to pay close attention to Miss Linda.
The Frazzle Family Finds a Way. The story is by Anne Bonwell, and the pictures are by Stephen Gamble. The Frazzles were forgetful. They forgot their umbrellas when it rained. They forgot their coats when it snowed and their sunscreen when it was sunny. When they went off to work, Mrs. Frazzle forgot to comb her hair and Mr. Frazzle forgot to put on his trousers. When they went off to school, Annie and Ben forgot that they weren't on vacation anymore. Even Wags forgot where he'd buried his bone, and none of the Frazzles could find it. At the grocery store, the Frazzles forgot their list. "What do we need?" asked Mrs. Frazzle. But no one could remember, and so they forgot the milk and the bread and the apples, but they did get plenty of eggs. They forgot where they parked the car. They forgot how to get home, and worst of all, they forgot Grandpa in the frozen food section. That night, they had a family meeting. "Something must be done," said Mr. Frazzle, and so Aunt Rosemary came to stay. Aunt Rosemary had ideas. "What you need is my system," she said. "It's guaranteed to work." She set about making notes and calendars and schedules and lists until it seemed that the whole house was covered in paper. But the Frazzles were so forgetful that they forgot to bring their lists, and they forgot to look at their notes and consult their calendars and check their schedules too. "Tisk," said Aunt Rosemary. "You are worse than I thought." She made the Frazzles tie strings around their fingers to help them remember what they forgot. "My strings are foolproof," said Aunt Rosemary. "Surely they will work." But they didn't. "Tut," said Aunt Rosemary. "It seems you are hopeless." And she swooped off to the bathroom to soak in the tub. Soon Annie heard something coming from the bathroom. Aunt Rosemary's singing voice sounded like Wags when the string around his tail was tied too tightly. But it gave Annie an idea. That afternoon at the grocery store, Annie sang a song. "Apples, lettuce, bread and beets, chicken, carrots, chocolate treats, milk and cheese and one thing more. Don't leave Grandpa at the store." When they returned home, Aunt Rosemary met them at the door. "Tisk, tisk," she said. You forgot to bring your list, and you left your strings hanging from the ceiling fan. I suppose it will be 12 egg omelets for dinner again, with egg sauce on the side. Nope, said Ben. We forgot our list, but we remembered everything on it. And they had. The next day, the Frazzles sang another song. Brush my teeth and comb my hair. Trousers are a must to wear. Homework, school bag, and lunchbox. Trade my flippers for gym socks. The day went much more smoothly, and all the Frazzles were happy. Even Aunt Rosemary, because, as it turned out, the Frazzles remembered something. My birthday, said Aunt Rosemary. I forgot. Happy birthday to me. The end. The Relatives Came, story by Cynthia Ryland, illustrated by Stephen Gamble. For Aunt Agnes Little and her brood, Dick Jackson, and his Jerry and ours. It was in the summer of the year when the relatives came. They came up from Virginia. They left when their grapes were nearly purple enough to pick, but not quite. They had an old station wagon that smelled like a real car, and in it they put an ice chest full of soda pop and some boxes of crackers and some bologna sandwiches. And up they came from Virginia. They left at 4 in the morning when it was still dark, before even the birds were awake. They drove all day long and into the night. And while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and different mountains, and they thought about their almost purple grapes back home. They thought about Virginia, but they thought about us too, waiting for them. So they drank up all their pop and ate up all their crackers and traveled up all those miles until finally they pulled into our yard. Then it was hugging time. Talk about hugging. Those relatives just passed us all around their car, pulling us against their wrinkled Virginia clothes, crying sometimes. They hugged for hours. Then it was into the house and so much laughing and shining faces and hugging in the doorways. You'd have to go through at least 4 different hugs to get from the kitchen to the front room. Those relatives. And finally, after a big supper 2 or 3 times around, until we all got a turn at the table, there was quiet talk. And we were in 2s and 3s throughout the house. The relatives weren't particular about beds, which was good since there weren't any extras. So a few squeezed in with us and the rest slept on the floor, some with their arms thrown across the closest person, or with an arm across one person and legs across another. It was different going to sleep with all that new breathing in the house. The relatives stayed for weeks and weeks. They helped us tend the garden and they fixed any broken things they could find. They ate up all our strawberries and melons, and then promised we could eat up all their grapes and peaches when we came to Virginia. But none of us thought about Virginia very much. We were so busy hugging and eating and breathing together. Finally, after a long time, the relatives loaded up their ice chest and headed back to Virginia at 4 in the morning. We stood there in our pajamas and waved them off in the dark. We watched the relatives disappear down the road, then we crawled back into our beds that felt too big and too quiet. We fell asleep. And the relatives drove on all day long and into the night. And while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and the different mountains, and they thought about their dark purple grapes waiting at home in Virginia. But they thought about us too, missing them, and they missed us. And when they were finally home in Virginia, they crawled into their silent, soft beds and dreamed about the next summer.
So if you enjoyed those two stories, you can come past the library and pick out some more stories about family and friends. But you know what? These two are available for checkout, so stop past and see us. Until we see each other again, I want you to stay safe, listen to your teacher, and be kind. Take care. Bye-bye.